What's going on? How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? Yeah, it's gonna be just got a little break. It's gonna be a busy weekend for me, busy week for myself. You know what I'm saying? Well, it's been a busy week. Uh, been a busy whole thing. You know what I'm saying? Thanks for the sis for coming through. Poetic Kells came through. You know what I'm saying? Chopping up one in the chat a little bit. Thanks for always coming through and checking on and supporting the channel. Yeah. So how's everybody's evening? Currently it is 6:32 in the morning for me. I won't be able to stream uh this week. Well, on my usual day that I would like to stream. You know what I'm saying? Because you know what I'm saying, family things that need to be handled, some time with the family. Got to put in those anti-dereliction hours, and I have a niece, so we gonna put in them anti-thought hours. You know what I'm saying? Just to be doing the thing. Oh, word. Yeah. It's gonna be raining and lightning over here. It's been hot. You know what I'm saying? I've been watching the Olympics on TV. Uh, you know what I'm saying? So people been falling out for the humidity. They've been falling out because of the humidity. Um, but yeah, it's been pretty cool. It's just the summer's been pretty mellow. There's been a lot going on, but not a lot going on. Things are starting to simmer down. Um, I guess the norm is being reset. We were so used to being put into, I guess, a box of people just doing the most. We still got remnants of it, but just a box of people doing the most. But yeah, but with that being said, I'm sitting up here drinking on this tea. This is I think this is yeah, this is like black strawberry tea. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. My wife got it for me. I like teas. I like teas. I can do coffees, but I'm bougie when it comes to my teas and my coffee, especially the coffee, because after I had some Turkish coffee, like Spain, Italy, the Middle East, like, you know what I'm saying, like Bahrain and all of those places like that. And you talking about the Horn of Africa, they got some good coffee where you ain't got to add nothing to it. You just brew it. If you brew it right, it tastes like a latte, or it tastes like depending on the bean, it tastes like a mocha, like just straight. You don't got to add nothing to it. You ain't got to put nothing with it. You just drink it as it is, and you just need a little cup of it. Just need a little cup of it. What's going on? But I'm drinking on this black strawberry tea. This stuff is great. I like it. It's great. It's just I want to get another. I want to get another one. But anyway, like I was saying, today's stream of my random thought. I was thinking, right, because I was looking around, and you don't hear about a lot of war right now. Um, and usually the war that we're having so forth is internally, with ourselves, within our community, within our cities, within our states, and within the nation. So in the nation itself, they're doing these trials about January 6th. It is the seventh month in the year, going into the eighth month of the year. A lot of things need to have happened. I think this is another stimulus check that's coming out. So do spend those wisely, because this is for rebuilding the infrastructure of the nation after the war has been raged on the nation itself. People keep forgetting that the war on terrorism started uh, coming up in September. The war on terrorism would be 20 years. I remember uh, September 11th. I remember it clearly because I was on a Navy ship and we were in port and I was about to go on leave. Well, I was going on leave actually. I was walking out of the door and everybody was sitting there watching TV and I was saying what's up to everybody because I was going to Spain. And that was the last time you could walk up to a that was the last time that you could walk up to the boarding gate. I had my homegirl drop me off. She walked me all the way up to the boarding gate. She saw me get on the plane. She waved and stuff, and I was off in the air. And that was the last time you could ever do that. September 11th, everything changed. And for 20 years, wives, husbands, children, fathers, mothers, uncles, aunts, you name it, put a great toll on the nation. The VA was overran. It took it took what? If I'm not mistaken, it took 4 terms of a president, 16 years for the veterans to get their just due after the war. And they're still fighting. I'm a veteran myself, and I still got to fight to get my stuff. And those that have gotten it, it's gotten way better than those that went forth in Vietnam. And the war raged on 2 battlefronts, Afghanistan and Iraq, and certain parts of Africa. Nations have been torn asunder. It has put in a great strain. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It is putting a great strain on people. So let me bring it. That's worldwide. You know, you know, the U.S. finally drew from Afghanistan, and the people who took him back over. They don't know what's going on in Iraq because they don't really report it. Oil prices have stayed. I remember when gas prices was $1.10 a gallon for like 87, 89, or something like that. Now they sit at a consistent between $2.50 to like 320 or something like that, depending on where you live at. This has put a great strain on the economy, put a great strain on your pockets, on the nation. People have lost jobs. Yeah, another stimulus. What about the unemployment folks that see their unemployment in 6 months? You know what? That is a good question there. And you know, here's the bad part about that, Kels, is that unemployment is a state thing. And a lot of the states refuse the government kicker so people won't get that extra, I think, $300 a month because they want people to go back to work because that unemployment, they if you play people unemployment in mass, and this is why it's another strain, right? That's the tax dollars and everything. That's the tax dollars. And then the tax dollars that they took from the working people in the state is going to the people that's unemployed, which were the working people in the state. Not saying they don't need to get it, but that's a lot of money going out. And how are they going to recoup that? That's why you see a lot of this. That's why you see the prohibition of marijuana is being revoked slowly but surely. You're starting to see like certain taboos are starting to be allowed because they need people to pacify themselves. And we're going in the state of a Great Depression and we don't know it already because of the taxing of the war effort. That's why I put that up there. What's going on, Queen in the South? What's going on? Um, that's why I put this up there. Um, that's why I put this up there for that reason. And what I mean by that is that, you know, just sitting in the back chats, talking to people in conversation, prognosticating what's going to happen or what I see. And this is why I had these random thoughts because when you're not in it, what's going on, sis? Greetings, greetings. Um, I see it from a world view, and I don't want to discount anything that my audience has to say because you're living in it. But maybe it's to give some silver lining. Hope is dangerous. Hope is a dangerous thing. Uh, but I try to give something that's real. So let me bring this up on the screen. Um, and if I'm wrong, I'm not afraid to be wrong. That's why I have you lovely folks here. But I'm going to bring this up on the screen. You know what I'm saying? So there is no instance of a nation defending from prolonged warfare. This is in Sun Tzu's Art of War. And Sun Tzu usually, his art of warfare is usually um, executed and talked about when you're outnumbered. It's more a guerrilla warfare tactic, but it works wonderfully. And if it's executed on the side with the most might, then it's total annihilation. You can destroy, you can have a war before it even happens. You can destroy a war before it even starts. This nation has been at a prolonged state of warfare. Well, the world has been in a prolonged state of warfare for a very long time, for 20 years. And the time that it takes to destroy something, it takes double that time to rebuild it. So if you've been in war for 20 years to get the nation to what it was prior to the warfare, it's going to take almost 40 years to get it back. That is absolutely facts. I love having people in my chat that are smart. I love having smart people in my chat. I hate being the smartest person in the room. Uh, you know what I'm saying? I love having smart people in the chat. Very intelligent, astute people in the chat. So when I was thinking about this, and I wanted to share it with you guys, and once again, these are my thoughts and opinions. You know, these are my prognostications. These is my crystal ball that I see things as. You know what I'm saying? Is that all these incentives are not for your benefit, but for the benefit of the whole. And for the people that want to stay in power, they actually have to do something. And there's a reason why they're having the trial while everyone's preoccupied with everything else, right? Why wouldn't you have this trial in the fall where people pay attention or in the winter? Why would you have it in the middle of the quote unquote Olympics or in the summer where people finally get to go outside, where virus uh, numbers are going through the roof that they're not really reporting on right now because they need you as the people to spend money. You know what I'm saying? Is this is that they need you to spend the money and the money is taxed and it rebuilds the coffers, right? Your poetic Kells basically said, what about the people that's been waiting on that unemployment for 6 months? The moratorium of rents and mortgages are due. It's going to be over with pretty soon. People are going to be evicted out of their homes, but you can't just go and kick them out of their houses right now. You still per state, because now it comes down to a state's rights thing. So the states can step in and extend those moratoriums. You cannot put millions of people out on the street. There'll be anarchy. But then there can be some people put out on the street, which will be an example to incentivize people to go back to work. See, this is a game that is being played because there will be sacrifices being made. So now the warfare is no longer worldwide. There's no longer an enemy on the other side of the pond. Now there's the enemy of your own countrymen. Now we as black people, or let's just say there's the elites, right? Let's not even bring that into play right now, but let's just say the top 10 to 1% versus the majority of the nations, right? The middle class is being reset. So the middle class doesn't exist. It's the have and the have-nots. And those that are on top are always few in numbers, so they employ these war tactics. What's going on, educators? Good evening. Chaos, you said trial. Yeah, the trial. They're doing the hearing right now about the January 6th thing, about how they ran up on the Capitol. See how everybody forgot? I just wanted to remind y'all why in the middle of y'all enjoying the summer. What's going on in the shadows. They're and the thing is, they are putting it out there so you can't say that they didn't tell you. It's not their fault that you won't pay attention with all the distractions. You know what I'm saying? Evening, sir. Evening. Man, this y'all gotta get this black strawberry tea. Thing is good. The producer gonna be mad at me. I hope y'all can't hear me drinking and gulping this stuff down. If Shara's in here, she gonna kill me. But these fake patriots are getting very little time for that. Exactly. But I'm gonna put my tinfoil hat on. I'm gonna put my tinfoil hat on. I think that whole January 6th thing was pretty much the relief valve on the nation. And what I mean by that is a lot of people don't think stuff is real until they actually see it. So let's say you have a pot, right? And you boil in water with the pot. And then you put the top on the pot, and you don't know if it's finished boiling or boiling what it is until it starts to overflow. But then you get yourself a kettle. You get yourself a kettle, and when the kettle starts to whistle, that tells you that the kettle has reached its boiling point. I was an engineer. We had relief valves, and the relief valve will give you enough time to let you know that you're building up too much pressure. If you weren't paying attention, it would pop. And that was like an alarm. It's like an alarm. And I think the January 6th thing was like an impromptu alarm. You hear people going to jail, but what happened to the dude with the bullhorns? Remember, these people ran up in the Capitol. They had less security. The Congress people was there, and only one person got shot, and it was a white woman. Think about that for 1 second. Have you ever in the history of your life seen any type of run-ups on the Capitol of any country and only one person got killed? One person got killed. And the government side is the people. I mean, when I mean shot on the other side, there was another guy, he died, I think, of his injuries later. But You got people sitting up there going through government offices. Just the fact that they trespassed on classified, you know what I mean? Like you need clearances to get into certain offices is enough for them to get a minimum of 15 to 20 years in a federal penitentiary. But these people are getting slaps on the wrists and these things, and they're marching these people out in front. Nah. And then people are finding out how deep the white supremacy goes. And then you have the critical race theory thing being batted down and don't want to talk about it. Because if you talk about the critical race theory, then the majority, not us, but the majority, which is white America, would feel some type of guilt and they would actually try to right some wrongs. And that's not really what it's about. Peace is not what you think. Peace is a negotiation between two opposing forces because it is not in each other's advantage to keep war going for a prolonged time. There's war and there's a peacetime. And when you negotiate a peace treaty and in that peace treaty, you know, and this is back in the day, it wasn't just peace and the peace would be long lasted. They would come to an agreement with an envoy that we will go back to war in 4 to 5 years to finish this off because there must be a winner. We don't do that nowadays because civilization as we know it is what it is. The amalgamation of keeping your traditions and your values and your culture is ever evolving. The nation itself is at war with itself due to the prolonged war of outside. Parents are at war with their children. Children are at war at the greater society. People are at war with the nation itself because they're putting into it and they're not receiving anything. And they're seeing, quote unquote, these images of these people that are coming in. You know, there's an immigration topic that are getting things that they're paying for. And I know you can feel it too, and I know you understand it too. And there's nothing wrong with that. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, go yourself. I'm on my tenfold. Yep, self-induced distractions. At the end of the day, we shouldn't lose focus on this historical event. Exactly. But for most people that don't pay attention, this is what's going to happen. We're too busy worrying about um, other things, and I'm gonna get down to that too as I ramble along with these random thoughts. Now, as I get off the nation glaring problem, now let's get down to the states. You have the great state of California taxing their citizens to high heavens. How do you run out of water when you're right next to the ocean? Where did all of that money go? You know what I'm saying? Where did all of that money go? For the infrastructure. I'm like, just for you to rent a home in California, I'm like, just to rent an apartment, it's very expensive. People that are in 2-bedroom apartments you gotta have like a roommate to do anything. You gotta drive in California. The traffic is horrendous. All of that money, and you don't have any type of infrastructure when it comes to like high speed rail systems, train systems where people can get around it or cut down on it. Uh, period. People said because of COVID, the air quality in California has jumped leaps and bounds because people didn't have to be in their cars anymore and things of that nature. Now, California is beautiful, like Southern California is beautiful with the weather. Like it's always cookout weather there. But other than that, what's there? So people migrate to where resources at, where they're incentivized to go. So they start to go to Arizona, New Mexico, Nevada. People would rather go into the desert. You're telling me that states like Arizona, New Mexico, and Nevada got more water and more resources. This is the desert people than a state that is living on that's on the coast that has four different climates that takes up about 65 to 75% of a coastline. This is very telling. The mismanagement of funds in that state is horrendous. So people are migrating. They're going to Texas. We ain't going to talk about that energy crisis that happened over the winter where people were paying all into that system for no regulations, and then look what they had to pay the piper on the back end. Now this is the people with war with the state. Remember, states' rights is a thing. We're not going to even talk about the voting thing, but we're just going to talk about just the regular infrastructure. So what are you paying into? What are you really paying into? Everybody pays attention when they have to, but when they get a second not to, a distraction will cause the war to be finished. People are not trying to go back to work because it's more cost effective for them to not go to work and be on unemployment, or is it that because they don't have a job and they only have unemployment, they're more cognizant of how they spend their money? People are not lazy because they're lazy inherently. People are lazy because they're incentivized to do so because of the environment, if that makes sense. And what I mean by that is, how do you learn as a young person? And I really fear for these younger people because, you know, us 80s babies, we're 40, we're 34ish to 41, if I'm just going off the top of my head. That means that we are the adults and we're becoming the people that are in charge. Remember, if you're 40, you're 10 years shy of half a century. I mean, the nation belongs to you. That means the people that are 60 are your elders. That are 55 and over, they're becoming your elders, or they are your elders, and they're passing the keys to the nation to you. Because at 65, that's when they're supposed to get Social Security. Unfortunately for us, Social Security might not even exist by the time we get to that age. So it is our job to keep the nation afloat up until then, to pass it on to the younger generation. And what are we going to pass on to them? A war-ridden state of barren land, no infrastructure, no way to even extract the rich resources of the nation. 32 to 41. Appreciate it, Chaos. Appreciate it. So what I'm basically saying is that the young people that are below that age of 31, I would say 25 to 31, because that's when your brain fully develops primarily. And that's when you can really do anything when it comes to the nation. You can't rent anything, you can't do anything, state level or whatever. really, until you're 25. You can do things, but you really can't until you're about 25. And that's when you're actually in a job and you're paying on student loans. Now we're talking about the state level thing. We got voting, we got housing, we got employment. We have all these things. And the only thing that they have come across, because the people vote on these things and they put them into practice, but then you have to wait for these people to make the decisions for you to bring them up. So, like I said before, how are they helping you? Are they negotiating a peace treaty, or they're negotiating peace with the citizens? And I think it's more of negotiating a peace treaty while they get their self together, rearm their propaganda machines, put things forth. But right now, they're not in a space because the citizens are paying too much attention to their daily needs. People are migrating from the north to south. The great northern migration. The southern migration came multiple times. You know, even when they were building the railroad, people migrated west. You know, that's when they first laid down the railroad tracks to go west. And then they did it again in the 50s and the 60s. They went north and west. Now people from the west are migrating south. And people from the north are migrating south, but they're migrating southwest. I hear a lot of people from where I'm from. I'm from Baltimore, from the East Coast. They're migrating down to Georgia, down to Texas, over to Arizona, over to New Mexico, over to Nevada. Some even to Colorado. If I'm gonna migrate somewhere, personally myself, it's got to be somewhere where the temperature stays consistent. Even myself, I've migrated somewhat south, but it's called Central Japan. And I actually do like it because it's less colder here. But God knows the devil is sitting on the balcony, swinging his legs and drinking lemonade in the summer. Oh, yeah, that's right. Social Security. But here's the thing. Now we're going to talk about our cities. And the reason why I'm breaking this down from the state level to the city is because these external forces, and I'm going to get to us in a second, but your cities, where you live in, your cities and your counties, your cities and your counties are very important because they affect your daily life. They affect the funding that goes to your schools, for your children. They affect how much you get paid. They affect how fast you get your benefits. Your say you drive and you get a ticket. They affect your fines. They affect everything. You need money for better quality of life for services. And how that revenue in the coffers and how those people use use that revenue, use those coffers, it affects everything. Good evening, Shar. It affects everything. Every single thing. It affects every single part of your life. And we forget that. The state level, yes, but if you're only concerned about the state level or the federal level, what affects you daily? When you pay a ticket, you have to go down to your courthouse. If you pay it online, you have to call the magistrate. If you need to pay your taxes, you have to pay it at the state level. But a lot of you have city taxes or county tax that you have to pay. The thing that comes out of state and federal, but whatever's in that county, whatever you have to pay when you get your car registered, if you're driving, uh, the first thing that comes out, the first thing you have to pay is what's closest in that area, in that region. Oh, no problem, Shar. No problem. That humidity had you rethinking some things. So we as people, we have to understand that voting, being involved, you cannot get mad about the car crashing if you were sitting shotgun on the back seat and you saw them suspect left turns. We have to sometimes, a lot of times, take accountability. Now we're going to talk about the home, the community. The community can be your neighbor, your neighborhood, things that you can affect right now and today. Are you at war in your community? Do you feel like you at war in your community? And what I mean by feel like you at war in your community, because we all think about gun violence, shootings, killings, robbings, stabbings, theft, destruction of property. If you don't live in that, you're not at war. But do you know your neighbor? And what I mean is, what's going on, Jay Sean, man? How's it going with you over there? Do you know your neighbor? Do you have a working relationship with your neighbor in your community, on your block, on your street? Do you know the lady across the street and their family, or the man down the street? I remember growing up in the 80s, it wasn't the greatest thing, but I lived on a block and we knew our neighbors and we helped each other out. Yeah, borrow a cup of sugar from your neighbor, pack of Kool-Aid here, there, but we helped each other out. We talked to each other. Yeah, there was some disagreements and some disgruntledness. You get that a couple of times. No place is different than anywhere else. But when I moved with my aunt for a little period of time, we didn't really too much involved ourselves with the neighbors. And I felt that strange and weird that I came, from means of not doing too well, but I thought that it would get better as you move up the ladder. And it got worse, actually. People stopped being involved with their neighbors. Actually, being involved with your neighbor is a problem. Like me and Jay Sean joke a lot. Like he shows these wonderful houses when we're in the back chats over there in Arizona. I'm like, these houses are beautiful, but my gripe is I'm not paying a quarter of a million or almost a $500,000 for a house and somebody's right across the street from me. I don't even want to see you to that extent. I have to drive 5 minutes to come see you. That's just me per se. But I get it, I understand it. But a lot of people are not involved in their community to that point. People put up fences and barriers. And then if something happened, they're not looking out for one another like they used to. Everybody's what the esteemed brother Jay Sean will say all the time is rugged individualism. And we went from the community to the neighborhood, but the neighborhood is the foundation of the said community to a certain extent. Now let's get inside the home. In these YouTube streets, men and women have been at war with each other since I've quote unquote walked on these streets 3 years ago within these panels. There have been people that have sided with the women, and there are people that have turned on the women, and there's women that have sided with the men, and there's the men, and there's the women that side with women, and you have to pick a side, and then there's the side where we stand on, where we hold people accountable, and you have to be even killed. And we actually hold our male counterparts accountable, and then they want to go to war with us. And then when we decide to hold both sides accountable, we're the odd people out, and we get attacked and yada yada squatter. It's just all out craziness. And people are going to have their differences of opinion, but a prolonged war does not benefit a nation. That means any nation on the face of this earth, any nation of culture, nation of a state, it's its own nation because states' rights, a municipality, a city, because they have their own rights, a neighborhood, especially like a gated community, because they have their rights, homeowners associations, the new Kerns, you know, um, a block, and the home, because they have their own rights bestowed on them by the powers. If you break it down, if you're paying that, you have, even the police have to have a warrant to enter your house to do a search and seizure. These are certain things. So your home is its own nation. Now we're talking about the nation of black folk and how we're at war with each other, but we know this. But the problem that I have is that when we allow interlopers to inject themselves into our conversations, and even when we have these conversations, because once you have them publicly, then everybody's free to have their opinion, right? So you can't be so self-righteous about it. But to not have these discussions with some type of rules of engagement. I think black folk on YouTube need a Geneva Convention. We need a Geneva Convention. I think that's what we need. We need rules of engagement, of warfare of the mouth when we're on these panels. And I am guilty of it myself. I am not above board when it comes to that. And I need to check myself also. I reneged on that a couple of times and done it just recently, and I felt bad about it but I'm working because it is how should I say it? It's a reflex. When you've been at war for so long, from your home to your community, your home, from your neighborhood to your community to your city, your state, your nation, and outside of that, peace is very hard to understand. It actually feels far. It actually feels weird. It actually feels that you are you're more at peace at warfare than you are, and then you're more at war when you're peaceful. If that makes any sense. I hope this is what it is. I hope you understand what I mean. Let me say it again so I can get my thoughts together. You feel more at peace on the battlefield, and you feel more when you're at peace, you feel like you're in a battle. And let me just put it to you like this, right? And this is the thing about us as a species, as humans, is that we're very adaptive. but it's hard to unadapt certain things once you get to a certain age. Your environment imprints on you. Your environment imprints on you to a point where you try to you we try to keep things, but when you evolve, you have to shed things. You have to, you know, it's the transmutation of energy. You know, you have to sacrifice something. You can't make an omelet and get back the original ingredients and have an omelet. You need the eggs, you need the milk, you need the, you know, I like I like green peppers and onions and mushrooms in my omelet with cheese, you know, with cheese, pretty much like white cheddar. White cheddar's good. White cheddar is a good thing for me. And but once you make the omelet and the heat and the pan and all of these ingredients and all of these things, you do not get back the ignition from the fire, the gas that's being spent, or the combustion of the materials. You don't get back the cheese. You don't get back all these processes. Does not come automatically back once you make the omelet. They're gone. They're dissipated. They're inside the omelet. And the thing is, as we evolve, we have to shed and let things go as we move forward. And that is what it comes down to, being in warfare with each other as Black people, is how do we move forward? That doesn't mean we don't forget the recipe on how we got here, but we have to move forward and get out of our trauma. And we have to teach the younger generation that this trauma existed because of these things, but we're moving forward. Never, and I guess we know that we're in a constant state of war with our nation. So how do we reverse being in a constant state in war? Is that we have to heal with each other, and we have to be the example. And in warfare, there are sacrifices. There are people that you have to excommunicate. There are traitors that need to be executed for going against the treason of going against the nation. And everybody has to play that lane and take their rightful place. But we are a nation of people, but our household is divided. And for 400 years, our nation can't benefit from a prolonged war. And for better or for worse, whether you want to like it or not, we as people, and this is just my thoughts, we as people all over, right? Because we're not the only nation of people that are at war with each other. We just the only ones. Well, we're not the only ones, because we're as American as our white counterparts are. Because they put their business out there all the time. And we just follow suit. And you're starting to see the other communities put their business out there because they're becoming more Americanized. Because in a nation of capitalists, this is what you do. Because this is how you make money. Capitalizing monetarily on any and everything you can. And the best thing that you can capitalize on for long periods of time is hurt. Smoked Gouda cheese is good too. You know what? I got to try that, Queen of the South. We over here talking about some bougie stuff. We talk about cheeses and stuff. See, hold on. Let me read some of these comments before I get too much of my thoughts here. I used to have hope, but I think most of us will be left behind. That is true. That is true, Queen. So, death penalty says educated areas. My apologies. The war of the northern aggressor never ended. That is that is fact. I'm like, we we in itself. Remember, warfare is for someone to win something, to conquer, to take resources. People go to war because of what? Because we naturally, as human beings, are greedy. Human beings, species of humanity, is greedy. Every time your house that you're sitting on right now, the neighborhood that you're in right now, just think about it. In America, 400 years. Shoot, me in Japan, I don't know how many years. We talking about centuries over here. Have you went outside on your front steps and seen a bear walking down the street? If you're down in the South, if you're in Florida, a panther, mountain lion, anything, a wolf. Somebody, you may see a raccoon here and there, but what major carnivores have you seen just strolling down the street? Did you pull up to Starbucks yesterday? Just pull up in the drive-thru with Starbucks and see a pack of wolves just hanging out. You know what I'm saying? You haven't. We went to war first with the environment. It's been hot for the whole summer. We're starting to live more inland now. Usually everybody lives on the coast. You have to live around water. You got to live around waterways and things like that. So when you get an Amazon delivery package, you're not waiting 3 to 6 months. It's not coming on a ferry or a boat. When the last time you went down to the market? To the market. Remember, the markets used to close at 5 or 6 o'clock. When you wanted to get some news or some gossip, when the last time you went down to the tavern? Matter of fact, the tavern is on your phone. This electronic device. Information is shift. Matter of fact, when the last time you went to the market and had to have armed guards with you when you wanted to go shopping? You didn't. You know why you didn't? Because your card is your armed guard. Your phone. You run out of money, you need some money. You need to borrow some money from your friend. You don't have to see them face to face. You can send them a letter, a text message, and they can send you a cash app. And you can use your phone to literally pay for things. You don't even have to go in your wallet anymore. Turkey, meatloaf, sandwich. I'm gonna call it a sandwich. I'm just saying myself and just looking at it is that now who do we have left to conquer? When you have conquered the environment, when you go to war with the environment, now who do you have left to conquer? Because you take out the predators, you build up your community. Now the only people left that you have to deal with is who? Other people. And then you go to war with those people. and then you come to a negotiation, or you annihilate them completely. You either get down or get laid down. And then you build that up. And then overall, you do what? But sooner or later, there are going to be some people that are not going to be treated the same, because what is above is so is below. So now, just explaining the cycle of things and how warfare works, now we're going to talk about the warfare within, the individual warfare. You yourself, by yourself, as an entity, are your nation, or is your own nation. And yes, you are affected by the outside forces, but you also can affect the forces that's around you. How are you going to evolve as a person if you're at prolonged warfare with yourself? The emotional trauma that you go through every day. How does a soldier be the best he could be without any discipline, without any strategy, without understanding the information, what is needed to win the war within, to come to terms, to understanding the enemy? And your greatest enemy is yourself. They say there's no crying in baseball. Even sports, to a certain degree, is the execution of warfare. It's one side versus the other. There's a lot of strategy put forth, but a strategy or a plan is only as good as its execution. What are you doing daily? Procrastination is the greatest enemy that an individual can have. Being undisciplined is second. Not taking self accountability is third. Ignorance is fourth. Dereliction is fifth, because that's knowing what to do and just doing the complete and total opposite. These are just my random thoughts. Let me go down here. It's time to do the jig for my likes. We do the jig. Do it again. Do my YouTube minstrel. What's going on, CJ? But to every last one of you, these are just my thoughts. Once again, this is how I feel about certain things. This is things that I've self-reflected into myself, trying to understand it to the best of my ability, getting it on and trying to figure it out, reading these books, trying to apply these things to myself and to my life. What's going on, Tone? And these are very interesting reads, to say the least. And I do invite you to go look these up, read them. And if you're not good at, if you don't like reading to that extent, because they can put you to sleep if you're not that interested in it, there's audio books on it, explanations. There's YouTube videos where they break it down with animations and stuff. Whatever way that you need to digest the information, go right ahead. Digest it. It's a wonderful read. It's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful read. Wonderful read. Um, you know, if you guys got any suggestions, if you're a part of my Discord server, drop it down there. If you're interested in these random thoughts and things like that. Um, you know, drop your thoughts down. Let me know what you want me to talk about, um, or give my random thoughts on. Because I get a lot of inspiration from a lot of people. A lot of people that I talk to on and off the platform, just having deep diving discussions. And not all of these things you can apply it to yourself, because a lot of these things are personality based, but there are things that work regardless if you accept them or not. These my thoughts. There's nothing. You can agree with them, disagree with them, or not. But cuffing season is coming, or winter is coming. Cuffing season is coming, y'all. And for those of y'all that want partners and want to build a family and a community, and you know what I'm saying, and build a neighborhood and nation and state and all of this other stuff, you have to be able to build within first. You have to have peace within. Your internal nation cannot be at prolonged warfare. If you do not find inner peace within yourself, then how are you going to be able to find peace with other individuals? The producer has spoken. So how are you going to be able to do that? Inner peace. And that's why I had to, I guess in my thoughts, I went backwards. I went from the bigger picture, from the macro to the micro. Peace starts with you, starts within yourself. No one can give you peace. You have to find it with yourself. Was it? Can you talk about Dr. Dre's divorce as a married man? Do you think it's fair they were married? Well, marriage is a contract. It's a business deal. She got a settlement. That's what it's called, a settlement. Um, you know, she negotiated. She wanted more. Actually, uh, she got less than what she actually asked for, due to the fact that she pretty much misappropriated funds. Marriage is a contract. Just to be real with you, Queen of the South, marriage is a contract. I know we don't want to believe it, but it is. And there's two ways to finish a marriage contract: a divorce, uh, a divorce, or death do you part, because that's the part of the contract. I was Cerulean brought up. We were talking in the back chats. He brought up that I think in his state, in a lot of states, the state is actually removing itself from the marriage portion of it to a certain degree. And what I mean by that is people are actually making their own contracts. They're getting married still, but they're making their own contracts, and they're putting certain things in the contract and verbiages that the court will abide by prior to getting married. And once they get married, and if there's a violation, then there's certain things, and the court will not put extra things on it when it comes to marriage. Now, as far as children and stuff, that's a whole different matter. But because people are not getting married, and you need to incentivize people or men to get married. Basically, that's basically what it is. But yeah, it seems me personally, 24 years of working. He didn't build it by himself. That's he 24 years ago. she was a part of the business. She was a part of the business. The kids are grown now, so that's not a thing. So she's a part of the business, and it is what it is, and we'll see where she goes from there. But yeah, she's got spousal support, or spousal support is different from what I hear. Is It's not alimony because he had a prenuptial agreement. So spousal support can run anywhere. I think in the state of California, like even if you're from what I've heard in the state of California, and I was watching that divorce court with Lynn Tyler. Yeah. So even if you're with somebody, right? Because I've seen her do this, and this is actually in a thing where this guy was living with this woman, and they moved, right, and they're in the state of California, and she said he can live with her, and he until he got on his feet. He got on his feet. The relationship went sour, and then he's moving out. Now she made more money than him. She had to pay him transition support. It's a thing in California. You got to pay transition support. They weren't even married. They were together for long as you're with someone for 6 months, and they agreed, and there was the thing, and something like that, or whatever, 6 months or more. So with marriage, spousal support is different than in California, because they're in California, than alimony. So she's getting spousal support of 300,000 a month. She was getting more than that. She was getting like 1.5 million or something for, like, I guess for 3 or 4 months, and then they settled on 300,000 a month, and that's when they're going to go down and come up with a settlement. And it's probably going to be a lump sum thing. He's not going to pay that monthly because she can't get any alimony because of the prenup that's in place. But yeah, marriage is a contract. It is a contract. What I mean? Like it's a contract, and it's always been that. It's just that when they were, it's a lot of history involved. But let's just put it like this, right? Is that it, it's at the end of the day, it's it's the upper echelon. They only care when things involve them. The everyday man's struggles have nothing to do with them per se. If that makes sense. Hold on one second. All right. Sorry about that. People like delivering packages at the wrong time, but Amazon over here, boy, they too good. Amazon be on their thing over here. Gotta, the thing I don't like about Amazon, like now you have to like literally put something, like you have to go check the box that um ring my doorbell. And I think there's another one on there. I know it's over here where you get a notification. Like instead of them ringing your doorbell, you get a notification um, when they time that they deliver to your phone. Because some people they don't hear their doorbell or something. They probably walking around with their AirPods in their head or something like that, in the house or something. But either way, so let me see what everybody says. Not common law. Hold on. What you saying? Hold on. Let me see. Yes, girl. Run around me on it. Hold on. Queen of the South said domestic partnerships is what they're called now, not common law. Domestic partnerships. I knew a woman who had to pay temporary support to her husband because she made more money. Yeah, yeah. I'm like, that's becoming a thing now. Equality, equality. Equality. That's the thing. I'm like, I didn't even know that Madonna's paying alimony. J Lo's paying alimony to a couple of her ex husbands. There's a lot of women paying alimony now. It's a lot of women paying alimony. So and it's going to be like, well, a lot more than what you would usually think. And most of the time, there would be more than that, but most men don't feel comfortable getting alimony from the women or child support. There's more men there's a lot more men that are single parents than we think. Than we know, because a lot of men, they don't want to consign to that, and they don't ask for child support. They just suck it up and do it and go about their business. So it's either on both ends of the spectrum. People co-parent and things of that nature. There are people that work out their differences and say, okay, I'll have the child from this time to this time to they're this age, and then you go live with your dad from this age to this age. So that's been happening for a long time. And usually when that happens, the man usually doesn't ask for any type of financial support, for the most part, from the mother, because this is his job, because she had the child daily and stuff like that, and he's there to install the masculinity and connect with his child on a daily basis. It's just different. So, but for me, being a married guy, I'm in a country where there's no such thing as alimony or child support. So those rules don't apply to me necessarily. Yeah, those rules don't apply to me necessarily. Now, do I think, but there's a reason why I was instituted, because prior to that, um, you know, man was just being reckless. So is the environment fixing itself? That's what I always say. It's the environment fixing itself. Me, I don't really have a dog in the fight when it comes to that, because I'm only I'm only getting married once, and I've only been married once, and I'm married now, and I've been with my wife since 2008. So um, yeah, so we've been married since 2008. So yeah. So we've been together since 2003. So we've been together since 2003. So it's like 18 years being together. So yeah, you know what I'm saying? And my youngest, he's going to be 17 this year. So I think I'm almost at the victory lap. I ain't fucking it up. Like, just to be real with you, I'm not messing it up. But everybody's relationship is different. A lot of people have to evolve around how they evolve around. If they are the head of the household, that is understandable. If she humps, hold on, if she humps the pool boy and give him paid vacation, it would be cheaper. That is true, Char. That is true. That is definitely true. Yeah, it's just definitely true. Me personally, and just say the least, I think relationships themselves. Um, I think that if the relationship's not hurting the people in the relationship, if the relationship's not hurting the people outside of the relation, I mean like causing extraneous damage or whatever or something like that. Like if two people of the same sex can get married, and this is just me, I'm equal opportunist. If two people of the same sex can get married, that's them, right? If two people that are heterosexual get married, that's cool. If a man wants to have two wives, that's cool. And if a woman wants to have two husbands, that's fine. Let them figure that out. Let them figure that out. If these two married people decide that they can be married, enjoy their marriage, and have an open relationship where they both know that they have people outside of that people are grown to let them do what they're going to do. That's what they're going to do. But when it comes down to certain things, especially in an economy where two people have to be working, the P word, the pension. uh, Char, you had me at P pension, not hello. but but if two people had but if two people, or I don't know what they got these pronouns now, so you can't even say that. But anyway, with that being said, before we keep rambling on, this is just extra credit and stuff like that. But since there's nothing else, and I'm almost at the 90-minute mark, I appreciate every last one of you. I'm sorry we had that interruption. I thought I did it early enough where we wouldn't get interrupted. Um, like I said, we're going to take a break. I'll be back in the fall, um, preferably maybe the second or third week of September. Since September is my birth month, Libra season is coming down the pike. We got to be balanced in this thing. Them scales is popping, in September. You know what I'm saying? Right after, Virgo season or whatever that is. But anyway, Libra season is coming upon us. That's when it's getting a little chilly. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Cuffing season. You gotta, you gotta cuff that jacket, put on them sweaters, start covering up. You know what I mean? So, and they say if you was born in the fall, your daddy was cuffing your mama in the winter. Yeah, buddy. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, enough with all of that, right? Everybody, hope y'all enjoy y'all evening. I appreciate y'all coming through, kicking it with your boy. For my random thoughts here. This strawberry black tea is outstanding. I had to get another cup of it. Is outstanding. But to say the least, I appreciate every last one of you as my the subscribers and people that haven't subscribed. Please do so. Hope you enjoyed yourself. No one will beg you to be great, but we will hold you accountable. Salute to every last one of y'all. Please enjoy your summer. Please enjoy the rest of the evening. Stay hydrated. Most definitely stay hydrated. And that doesn't mean drinking soda, pop. Drink some water. Get you, you know what I mean? Drink you some water, get you some mineral water. If you don't just like drinking water, get you one of the mason jars. Throw some slices of watermelon. Watermelon does hydrate you. Put a little salt on that watermelon when you eat it, though. Just a little bit, not a whole lot. Put some watermelon in some mason jars with some water, or some apple slices, or some mint leaves, stuff like that. It'll help you out also. And y'all have a great day. Make sure you tune into CRBJ tomorrow. Char, will you go ahead and drop the link there to the CRBJ so you can check out On the Beat with our esteemed Supreme Elder DJ Music, and Keep the Beat. That will be right thereafter. So it will be On the Beat with our Supreme Elder DJ Music with Char Willie. And it's Keep the Beat with Char Willie and Classic Ruby. We'll be twerking in the chat box if you want, or you can just listen as you do your thing. I like to listen while I'm doing paperwork and stuff. Is very entertaining. And to everybody, y'all have a great day. Peace, y'all.